So they finally did what we assumed they would do. Some theories thought they had already done it, but the intro said they were going to do it, and he's finally reintegrated.
We can only assume that next week, which was, I think, by some journalists or some people tweeting who got to the first few episodes, like, episode 4 is going to rock your world. And I can only imagine it's going to be this flashing back or kind of tripped out episode.
I assume that's going to mess with his head.
Yeah, we're going to get lots of Petey coming back and seeing their first thing.
I kind of forgot that we hadn't seen Petey in the severed floor. Like, we haven't seen Mark's opening at all.
No.
I think the only time we saw Petey was
in flashbacks.
When he was having his reintegration sickness.
Yeah, which is weird because we know so much about Mark, but we haven't seen his origin story, which so many shows rely on nowadays. So it's just like, it's surprising. I just completely forgot that, we met Mark when we met Helly. But it's okay, cool. I didn't think they would do it yet, to be honest. I kind of thought they would.
I was the same. I was surprised that it was ending so quickly with him. But when we get to it, the reveal of what makes him reintegrate, it makes sense. Absolutely, the character, I believe it, yep.
It's weird because I'm used to Netflix bloat. I'm used to the middle of the season. Just, they're like, oh, is he going to do it? Oh, is he going to? Nah, he didn't do it this time. Is he going to do it? And I'm like, nah. But then we're 3 episodes in to a 10-episode season, and they're like, yeah, man, just like cut that crap. He comes up with the big convoluted plan which is an excellent plan, might I say. I love the plan. It was
as good as the plan could be.
Yeah.
Basically, they're not giving us the waffles before the orgy. They're just throwing us straight into the orgy, right?
Very good,
yes.
Very good.
The dream.
I want waffles. No, I don't.
When we watched House of the Dragon season 2, there were moments where it felt like characters were doing things because the plot needed them to do it.
Damon Souls.
Or like Rhaenyra going to her enemy stronghold to have a chat in the chapel. Where when this happened, where it's like, your wife's alive, and he's like, oh yeah, okay, well, we're going to reintegrate. Yeah. Because emotionally and everything that feels true to the characters. The idea of him going, well, I'm not sure. It's like this guy's whole thing is defined by the fact that his wife's dead. Well, like every life choice is that.
My only question would be, how did the doctor lady find him? Did he call her to meet there? Is it not mentioned?
On the second rewatch, the only theory I came up with is that like his route to work, so then he stops off before he gets to work. He'll do that, and then he'll drive up the road. That's the only thing that I took from it.
Unless she's been keeping tabs on his whereabouts since their first meeting, and she's always keeping tabs of anyone she's contacted.
I was going off the logic of why he drove out there that late at night. And I thought it was because it was his route to work was my only well, maybe he's just hyper aware of people watching his house. I don't know.
Why is he not in his basement? Is he in the car because he thinks he's being watched, but he built it in his basement, and then he goes and reintegrates in his basement, so he's obviously not worried about them watching his basement. So that was my only why?
I have to think it's just his route to work, and it's just a little place
Yeah, he wanted to make
off.
sure he was doing it halfway there or something.
I guess we'll see if it's relevant or if it's literally just, he doesn't want to do it at home, we'll just drive him somewhere.
They didn't want to go from basement to basement to basement. They're like, what if we go from basement to
Could be a visual
to
thing.
Basement?
Maybe it was an availability thing. We can't get him in the set for the basement, but we can get him in a car outside a warehouse.
Entirely possible. It didn't really detract. It was just, if I'm looking for things, that's the only thing I'm like... again, people call everything a plot hole nowadays. It's not really even a plot hole. It's just something they haven't told me.
I think it had at least a good enough payoff with scaring the crap out of me when he finally opens his eyes and she's there waiting for him, because that was terrifying.
The fact that this is our only blemish. It's not even a blemish.
Well, how else would you do it? Would you have her banging on his front door and then he's got to go from downstairs to upstairs?
I think that's it. Yeah, it's just
a way to make sure she sees what he's doing, to be like, you dumbass.
Yeah.
You dumb little child.
What you just said as well.
And if she was watching him, his car lighting up in the middle of the dark kind of gives it away. But yeah, I'm just shocked it's already happened, because now if episode 4 is as big as it would be, it has the potential, I guess, to be a little slow because he has to relearn everything. Or at least, do they have...
Oh, you're thinking that's going to happen?
Well, I don't know. I'm just wondering, are they going to show him as him being a little confused by everything? Or because reintegration, he already knows all that stuff, and they're not going to bother, and he's just going to go in with a mission?
Well, she said she's better at reintegration now, and then proceeds to, bang a thing awake, make his arm move by accident, is already making mistakes.
Yeah, it's like a big electromagnet just near his brain. I'm like, yep, this seems great.
With the reintegration part, and seeing the pattern of sand or whatever it is, the vibrations that she's doing, they start sort of forming what looks like the image in the bottom left of her Cold Harbor screen with Miss Casey's face. People were trying to speculate what that pattern was.
Oh, the brain scan looking thing.
Yeah, I feel like that was starting to look similar. So maybe there's some hint about reintegration with Miss Casey or Gemma. Like maybe there's something else going on there, and she used to work for them.
side.
You brought it up that she managed to lug all that over to his apartment. Like she would have went.
True.
You know,
Yeah, I thought
ish.
like so in this first season, isn't that like her base? Like her, that's where she kind of hides out.
Well, that's what we thought at first, that he
maybe
went
it
to her
was.
base, but then he says, I'm in my apartment.
And he is, and you can tell it's his house.
Cool. I thought it was his. Okay.
So it's strange that she's not. Maybe because the security guy did find her, she up and moved everything, and that's just what we can
she
assume.
just has it very easily portable. Okay.
Yeah.
2 weird things for the
My
episode.
portable reintegration surgery room.
But I'd definitely call them nitpicks.
Oh, yeah, it's whatever. It's just in a car. She doesn't live anywhere. She's
She got a
constantly
van.
driving around.
Yeah, but nice production choice of having him in the red sweater for like because the introduction
Yeah.
sequence. I kept saying to him like, why are we always seeing Audi Mark in this weird red orange jumpsuit? Like, what's that going to be in? I mean, maybe it's
Because
just
it'll look cool later.
contrast color.
Because I think the next episode's going to be a majority of him flashing back and forth, and then when we're watching it, we'll know when it's Innie Mark because of being in the suit, or when it's Audi Mark and he's experiencing this stuff for a new time, but it's actually a memory. So it's just a way of us to keep track of which Mark it is in a moment.
Because so
you
far,
know?
obviously, with the settings being different, they just style his hair differently for Innie and Audi. Like Audi has his fringe forward basically, and Innie has it nice and professional.
He might end up goofing immediately all of this hard work by telling Helena, who I go back and forth. It makes a ton of sense that it is Helena, and they've shown the switch. We've seen the new theory of the ding, but then she's very good at it because we actually see her a fair bit in this episode, and I get she's watched all the tapes, so she probably knows. Did you think you...
We have, I think, very polar opposite opinions on it, which is good.
As in...
No, it's to you.
Oh, okay.
We divide here.
You're back on Helly?
Oh, no, we think it's definitely Helena because we found that, like, character-wise, everything she does in that episode goes against the Helly that we've known. First and foremost, her being super, like, compassionate to Irv. We feel like Irv's definitely going to be the first one to blow the cap on her not being Helly because he was the one suspicious of her lying, and then she's all like, hey dude, are you still sad about Bert? And he's like, why the fuck are you touching me right now? We're not like this, because I don't think we ever really saw the two of them together.
Yeah, you've watched it way more than me. I don't recall her being like... She was never mean to anyone but herself.
No.
But she's very driven, and so when she isn't the one going down the goat shit tunnel,
Yeah.
she's like, really, we're going to
sure?
do that? And you feel like Helly of season 1 would be like, me first.
Okay. I mean, it is Mark's quest. Again, I do think it's Helena, but Helena Outie, she has a raspier voice. Like, I noticed when she throws her voice back a little bit more, she's more soft-spoken.
The walk's even slightly different.
And I didn't notice that with the Innie, so I was like, okay, she's bothered to change her voice. But again, she's watched a bunch of tapes of herself. And it is just you, but unburdened, I guess. So playing yourself would be one of the easiest things to play.
If we are going with this theory that it probably is that it's Outie on both, it's the boss lady above and below, she would feel kind of relieved, maybe, because she thinks, I get to actually have human connections, which is why I thought she seemed pretty keen to try and get a bit of a kiss out of him.
It was very awkward, yeah. It was who wants what.
You feel like maybe Heliar would be like, oh no, Miss Casey's your wife, I'm going to leave it there.
I'll back off.
Yeah.
We know here I'm a hater of the Mark Helly love relationship.
Yeah.
And that
I'm
whole,
not a fan
that
of it,
whole
yeah.
hallway scene was so awkward for me. Like, I felt like I stopped breathing because I'm like, oh, what's happening? Oh, it's like watching two cousins or like siblings try to kiss. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, this isn't
That
right.
was fantastic because, neither of them thought they should be, but also they're like, but they're not us, they're someone else. So we could have a thing. Like, we're different to them. But also, you're right, it's Helena wanting that, but thinking if she pushes too hard, she'll give herself away.
That's what made me think, like, because there's so many moments where I felt like this is definitely Helena because she seemed so, she almost had like the Natalie face of like, she looked psychotic in a way that she had stuff going on underneath that we weren't seeing, but it was too long of a pause. It was a nice production choice that she's like cornered in, so it feels really unnatural that she's like backed in a corner.
Yeah.
And Mark's seemingly the one that has all the power in this.
But that was it. It just felt like the whole episode, she wasn't leading the way. It just felt like she was helping Mark on his quest.
Until she semi-tried to maybe a little too hard.
Have you seen this woman?
Yeah,
that's-
exactly. where like that felt like it was more of an outburst than something she actually wanted. When you think of something too late and you're like, shit, I should do this.
I feel like the Helly that we knew in season 1, even if she would be disappointed that, oh, okay, you have a wife on the outside, that now there's this bigger mystery, I feel like her hate for Lumen in season 1 is enough for her to be like, oh, these motherfuckers had your wife alive downstairs the whole time. Let's get the motherfuckers.
Yeah,
like,
she'll
I
fight for
feel like her vengeance would be there, whereas she doesn't have that anymore. She's just kind of like, oh, hey, I'm Helly.
When when you realise your maybe work boyfriend, his wife is, smoking hot Miss Casey, then there's no chance, is there?
There's no chance.
There's no chance.
A redhead versus Miss Casey? No.
The two fetishes.
I'm a billionaire. Maybe she can throw that out. But yeah.
Oh, the sad thing about Mark reintegrating for me is I loved the very stupid dynamic of Audi Mark not caring at all, or at least not pushing, but Innie Mark thinking he's on a secret mission that no one has put him on, and he's like, I will do this. Like, my Audi brought me back to do this, to get his wife back. While Audi Mark's just like, guess I'll go to work. I've got nothing better to do.
Yeah.
The Rickon book is now
Yes.
not together.
So
He's like,
funny.
really? Like,
God.
they want a Lumen propaganda version. So they go and visit Gwendolyn Christie, who's the head of...
Mammalian nurturing.
Mammalians nurturable.
Goat herders, because they're searching for Miss Casey. They've got Irv to draw up some nice missing posters, and they've photocopied them.
And then they're allowed to freely wander.
Because they've got hall passes now, because they've been so good.
Yeah.
Which means there is a little bit of a time jump of them being...
Either they were mainly given a hall pass. Is
Maybe
it
they
earning?
were. I thought it was an earned thing.
Not sold yet. The incentives were also reformed and now range from hall passes.
But yeah, they're allowed to wander the halls now, which they were doing in season 1 anyway.
Yeah, there is enough people watching them.
Which I think there was a nice way of showing that to us through Milchick coming in and seeing Mark's like half deflated balloons.
From weeks
Poor
ago,
guy, you do kind of feel like, God, this man's just picking up everyone's shit.
Does that man ever have a night or a day off?
No.
Like, he must be working. He's like you, but like he's always going.
Because he gave them to Mark, so there was a little bit of like, oh, Mark didn't want my gift.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? What are you?
And it's also, I think, a way of showing how much time's passed, because, how long does helium take to deflate, but also...
There's some Reddit theory right now going, how long does he...
Yeah. But it also shows that, like, there are absolutely no other people going through these halls each day. There's no one else doing cleaning. Like,
There's not
that's
a
been
cleaner.
just floating around and finding its own way.
And that wasn't even a out-of-the-way area he was in.
It's Milchick's way to work, yeah.
So they meet mammalian nurturable.
She has a very weird, few weird words, like that page of paper, like her
the way
way
of
of saying
speaking.
things is just quirky.
They don't see the outside world as much, I guess, or they don't deal with computers.
I wonder if there are long-form severers who do like 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out or something.
Yeah, could be
FIFO.
FIFO workers.
Yeah, FIFO maybe. There's
I'm a
probably
FIFO
is a
7,
thing.
It's Resident Evil Village when they walk in.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
It starts off a little creepy, but then the person that raises their head because they're wearing a goat costume, I was like laughing. I could not contain it. I'm like, what the actual fuck?
You start trying to nurture them.
Yeah,
or
this
something.
place is
Like,
insane.
I don't know if you have theories about, like, what his role is, if he's just meant to be there to kind of calm them and, oh, God, no,
I just think they're crazy goat people.
I'm having this. No, okay. I just have this
Please
visceral
don't goat human
disgust.
hybrid.
Well, that's the thing, because they were talking about the husband wings or whatever. The
Husbandries.
She used to come do her sessions in our husbandry tanks.
The husbandries. Is that
It's
a thing.
it's a terminology. It's where they fuck.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, so what if he's meant to be the thing that like helps stimulate that? That would be horrible.
The original
Right.
idea was, it's a clone. The goat's a clone.
it still could be.
Yeah.
Like, or we need goats for something.
Yeah.
Well, there is still this weird undertone. With the new intro sequence, we have that baby Kia thing. We see lots of little baby versions. We also see like these weird baby bottles that get spilt of like this
Yes, as
like
he wakes
a
up, it's
beige
baby
milk.
food.
Yeah, something weird. And obviously you've got Devon who's got a kid. Like there is this undertone of I guess that newborn, new life stuff. So I feel like that could be the stuff that's interlinked with goats and, baby goats called kids.
My main thing was still, they're making clones and then giving them the memories of Kia or James or whichever Egan wants to live forever at this point in time. That's where my brain keeps going, just because they keep showing me stuff that but I'm more into sci-fi, so that's what I'm putting onto it.
This is a sci-fi show. So.
Yeah, once they meet Gwendolyn Christie, she's so coy to start with. Like, they are an insane cult of people, and they're not giving anything away until she rings a big bell, and then everyone just pops out, and it's just Resident Evil for me. It's just the village where everyone just starts turning it, looking at you. I'm like, oh, wonderful. This is great.
Terrifying.
They're all very weird-looking people.
If they are severed, like, did they go home looking like that? What's going on? We also don't even know if they're severed. They are on the severed floor, but also Milchek isn't.
I'd imagine they were severed.
I would assume so, but how?
Because no normal person would, a person with like wife and kids would not then be a weird goat person
and
for
cultish.
8 hours a day. Like, they have to be
that's
severed.
the question of if the mammalian nurturable people actually have outies. You know, we know Miss Casey was someone who was permanently down there.
Homeless people. Surely they would have done that.
I mean, it would be an easy workforce.
You think this corrupt, would just simply sever homeless people.
If you just wipe the slate clean, you can do whatever you want with them. That sounds horrible. But that's something this company would do.
Then you turn them off for 8 hours and they don't know any different.
And
because they just think they went to that outie world.
And they're a cult. And then they come around because, what are they? How did
It's
a switch for sure.
It's a switch where it's like, we do know her. It's no. Well, I think it comes from the fear of macro data because the guy wants to see if they've got pouches.
Yeah, they didn't trust them.
Yeah, we were discussing if maybe that's like their propaganda that they had. Like, you know, there was the MDR versus O&D, that maybe their artistry or their paintings that they got to be warned against MDR was that they're weird goat hybrids with pouches and they're screwing with our goats. Don't let them in.
I immediately thought when he said, show me your stomachs, I was like, to check if they have belly buttons.
Belly buttons, yeah.
Because everyone's a clone.
I was going innie or outie.
The rowdies, the belly buttons out.
That's a reveal that when they become innies, their belly buttons go.
Yeah, but that's what I was waiting for because I was like, Helly's belly button's not being shown. Pull it down. Pull it down. Pull your skirt down, man. It's a really weird scene to unpack with the mammalians because it is strange. She's really suspicious at the beginning, rings the bell, everyone comes, it's intimidating, but then they do kind of immediately go, we did know her, she was a great lady, we won't get in your way.
I guess it really is just that we didn't trust you because we've been...
What was the change again? I'm being an idiot. Oh, no, he says, imagine if someone took your goats.
I don't think that can be the change,
That didn't seem to be the change.
Yeah.
The word
but that's
that
what I mean.
he
It's
said,
part, it's definitely part of it. Of like, I guess they don't really do anything to help.
Maybe
really
they trusted just the intimidation would send them away, but the fact it didn't meant they were serious.
Yeah, because they know nothing really. They just say, "Oh yeah, she disappeared,"
and that kind of ends Mark S's storyline for that point. Because then we go back up to the outside for the last 20 minutes, but then Cobell is going to Salt's Neck, which is probably where this bullshit new job is or whatever.
The opening of the episode has Miss Cobell sleeping in a car on the side of the road.
Likely travelling, doing
so
a long
travel.
a
decent distance.
Moving, yeah.
She has a moment to herself. We don't really know what it is that convinces her to drive back, but she drives back to Lumen.
Helena goes to talk to Cobell Vig because she rocks up, and Cobell Vig really is just like, I'm not going. You need me. I want my
job back.
I have demands.
And it's her master. It's like what she started, like the intro suggested. This is all her orchestration. This Cold Harbor situation is all her.
It's her baby.
But I always assumed it was a new file every quarter. But clearly he's just constantly refining the same file because he's nearly finished with Cold Harbor.
Yeah, I don't know what everyone else is doing. But yeah, Mark's been working his way through Cold Harbor. That's another mystery. What is everyone else doing? Are they just there? Because you can't make a guy work in a workplace with no one.
Oh, like the reveal would be, it's like, oh, you guys are just
they've been doing nothing.
sorting numbers into folders.
They also see scary numbers, so you would assume it's somewhat related to them. But yeah, she says, you need me. I'm coming in. I'm going to come back and be the head of macro data refinement again.
Fuck Melchick.
Yeah, like he sucks. He's nothing. I got this. And then Helena's basically like, I think you're overestimating how much weight you have to throw around here, buddy.
Underestimating your blessings.
And then come inside. We'll talk to the board.
Well, the board gets on it. It gets on.
I wrote that down because the board is always called an entity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The board says, but she thinks, oh, this is too easy. Like the way the guard moves forward. She just got, either she's spooked or she just thinks there's no way they're just going to keel over because I've just yelled at them.
Yeah. I feel like I wonder if it was her thought of like, oh, they're just going to have me come in and kill me and they're just going to get rid of me because...
Yeah.
That's what I figured.
But on the note of the board, we have this really cool interaction with Natalie and Milchick this episode.
Cool or horrifying?
Yeah,
Horrifying,
well, that's it.
but it's cool that it's there because, you know, it's really interesting.
Yep.
You see a bit of their character without them saying anything. You're like, oh, there's people under there.
Yeah. Well, it's all brought out by Milchick gets his new job as, like, he's properly settled in as head of macrodata refinement. Mm-hmm. So Natalie is in his office and says, I have the board on, which is just the ominous speaker and then her little headset in. And then she goes, the board has decided to bestow you a gift.
It's a
'cause again, we've got
recanonized,
some
reorganized.
Recanonicalized origin of Kia.
Right.
He opens it up and
I picked it before he opened
Yeah, we
it.
said it's not going to be blackface.
that's what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, did they Netflix this motherfucker?
Yeah.
And they did. It's black Kia with like Milchick's mustache, so like completely changed everything. But it's all identical photos by O&D that have just swapped
And we've
out
seen
Kia
that,
for a
we've
black
seen these
man.
ones before where it looks like Kia was maybe sick as a child or something. Like
We got black Kia before we got GTA 6.
And yeah, so obviously as the audience, we're going, there's no way this is going to be black Kia.
I was like,
and
no.
it is. And we thankfully get this weird interaction. Natalie is creepier than ever as she like circles around him.
yeah, that shot of her circling around him was wild.
She doesn't even get to be like, hey, I also got one. It's like the board wants me to tell you that I also received that
And
when I was ascending.
greatly, I was
Yeah.
really
So
appreciative.
did she get a female Kia?
That's what I think it might be, like more in tune with whatever you
And
are.
the wording is so that you can see yourself in the legend of Kia. And then he says, thank you. It is nice to be recognized.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's meaningful to see myself reflected in.
Yeah, it was the first time you see Natalie, well, one of the few times where it's like, are they all right? The whole Civil War angle of this. Is Severance a new form of slavery?
Modern slavery,
Because
but-
they've got these two characters, and I don't want to make it racial because the show might not be, but it gets us thinking because clearly the show wants us to think racially with this. The board is these, you know, it's an amalgamation of out-of-touch Lumen CEOs who think that the black people would like this, and they're completely out of tune or don't even care to even be in tune.
And they're always right. They're in charge. Because if it is the slavery angle, slavery wasn't so much about, oh, they're black. It's the slave owners viewed the slaves as less than them.
They're not even human.
In the modern age, everyone would be less than the board, so everyone can be their slave. So, yes.
And it just, it's just this great angle because, people are pointing out just how much they're working.
Well, Seth, that's the new thing. Seth's his first name. We get some extra information. But we see Seth and Natalie have this moment where she's like, the board's concluded the call. And he doesn't even take the time to like say anything. He just looks at her like, really? And she's like, I need to smile, but I'm gonna cry.
That's what we assumed it was as well. Yeah, just them both having all of the emotions because that's an insane thing for them to do. Even in this world, apparently, that's an insane thing to be given.
It does feel like almost Natalie being, the way I interpret the looks is like, yeah, you think promotion's good, but actually now you're like, you're stuck. I'm stuck here.
Yeah.
We're stuck here, and we know that this is actually
Because what even is her role? Just to simply be the body of the board?
We thought so, but then she's making decisions. She's in the meeting with the big other three.
But I thought she was
later
just there as being the voice of the board, maybe.
Potentially, she has to report back to them directly. Yeah,
But we've saw in season 1 when she was with Helena outside on the big night that she was talking to her normally, like, hey, they were really happy today and blah, blah, blah. So she still kind of has that. She has other stuff to do outside of the board, I think.
It's like PR or whatever.
He puts that painting away, like in a storage room that he does not go into.
I wonder if that will come back later, like they discover
Someone will
it. Then
find
we
it.
get to see more photos of Kier. Like, because we only are seeing the 3, we don't see what.
True. If it's his whole story, maybe it'll give away something else later on.
And that's it, because I was looking really keen. I was like, come on, we have to get a 3rd one or 4th one in there.
Tell me your secrets.
Yes.
So Irv's pretty quick to go through. So basically, Irv's storyline is he's going to go find the mysterious elevator that he keeps painting. He's redrawn it and he's showing Dylan. He's like, come with me. But Dylan does not come with because Dylan is a company man now.
Because he wants
He's been
his kid.
swayed.
It's all those waffle parties, man.
They'll get you. They'll get you eventually. He wants his time with his family that he was promised. Buy Milkshake as part of the big program they've got going on. None of the blueprints come to fruition that we see. It's just in a security room.
Maybe that will happen. The blueprint thing will happen in time. But for now, we've just reorganized.
Yeah,
the
just to get it done.
ring.
Irving's trying to find this elevator, so Dylan won't come with him, so he goes off by himself, and he has to take a missing poster to O&D. And when he gets there, he meets up with Bert's old friend.
Felicia, I think her name is.
Maybe? And then they have a cute little moment where they're just discussing Bert.
It is really nice.
I don't care if you're bad, Egan. You can't come down here and tell me how to print a snow globe.
Yes, we have some really nice moments with them, reminiscing of Bert.
It's just wonderful acting, wonderful dialogue. And we've barely met Felicia, but it's just very cute.
Yeah, and I mean, she's normally quite cold-hearted, but it's nice to see her be like, oh, but we have a shared love for Bert, so we'll come and talk
and Bert
about
is definitely gone.
Yeah, although we did see him outie stalking.
Yeah, Bert will be back.
Yes, that's true.
Because I think his
He's
name's
still
permanently in the
credited,
credits.
yeah.
So he's definitely come back.
Yeah, the nice natural dialogue that we have kind of segues beautifully into her seeing all the portraits that Irv drew of Bert, and then she finds the hallway painting that he's been reconstructing from his Audi.
And I did like to notice on the second watch that on the first picture she sees of Walken's face, on the other page over, it's like a sketch of a book, which I can only assume is the only book he knows, which is just the nice touch that he was probably just drawing all Lumen stuff and then met him and then that just became the focus, which is a cute little touch, you know.
Felicia gives us the
Export elevator.
Yeah, exports hallway or.
So now
whatever
he's
it
like,
is.
do you know how to get me there?
And then it just cuts. That's a future problem.
Yeah, but I feel like it's definitely a yes. She
Yeah.
obviously remembers if she was going down there so much for all the shipments.
But you're planting the seeds that all of these people are now, even though they're working towards, but they're all working towards separate things, mainly.
They all have something to do.
And Dylan's thing is
Having an affair with his own wife.
Oh yeah, obviously. I'm
That's
glad.
Dylan's
Surely
first thing.
we all know this. That there'd be a very Dylan move to cook his Audi.
Yeah,
Like,
it's such a good little line between them. They're incredibly similar. One just doesn't have the burdens of his life, so he's more confident. Whereas the other one, I guess, was beaten down or got lazy. It's the whole, you hit 40 or you hit 30 and you start getting lazy.
It's almost like she's meeting the version I fell in love with.
Exactly.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, which
Yes.
is, it's going to be painful if they keep developing that because it'll be sad to see. We've hinted at it. I thought, oh, he's still going to be a good dad though, right? Because he's with his kids. But we see his wife, Gretchen. We see them on the outside that Dylan takes the night shift clearly with the kids after he comes back from Lumen. And she's in what we can assume is maybe a security guard or a police officer
Yeah,
uniform.
One of those
it
things.
didn't look done up enough to be police. I think they have
Yeah.
more gear. So yeah, some
She
kind
wouldn't
of
be
night
security at Lumen, would she?
Yeah. She's not sick like people thought either.
Oh, that was a thing?
A lot of people thought she was sick because Dylan asked about family benefits.
Oh, it's because he's got kids.
Yeah.
She does the day, he does the night. So when
Yeah.
Milchick went over there for the overtime contingency, she wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
She
that's
was
why
at
they have
work.
3 kids. That's how they have 3 kids, but they both work.
I mean, Lumen police officers, do they have to do much? If it's a
Yeah.
town controlled by a business?
Yeah.
Maybe
is
not.
there crime? We don't
Yeah.
know. When Dylan's first introduced to her,
He'd probably be an actress.
yeah, I thought it would, because that was your theory of they'll just give him a fake family, because we know they Photoshop photos, but it's them hugging on the big screen, and that's the first thing he
it's the
sees.
most, 90s family photo, jeans and a white turtleneck.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, so who's this random chick? And I was like, all right, afterwards I'll look up and see if it's the same actress. But then they actually just reveal that at the end when she's in the house. But Dylan is talking to his wife. His Audi's wife, I guess, actually.
But it's great because all the little things, because we're always like, so what don't they know when they get severed? They know America, they can name states, but then he doesn't know what a purse is.
He doesn't say purse or
Yes.
bag, which I thought was an
Sack.
interesting choice. He
Is
says
the word.
sack.
And then he goes, so we live on a ranch when he,
I love
which I know
that.
is just a joke and it's
Yeah.
very funny, but it's also that the concept of a family-themed photo isn't there for him. So he's not like Jason Bourne, where he knows everything but his
It's
personal
just his
past.
personal stuff.
Yeah.
I assumed it would be a joke coming up as soon as he showed it. I was just like, oh, he's not going to know that that's fake. He's going to think it's like the 1800s.
Yeah. Which feels
so
wild.
good.
Like, why would that be the one family photo you bring?
Because it gives away no other information.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell them
That's probably
what
what it
time or
is.
place. Like all the
what
other
your house
photos
looks like.
Yeah,
True.
all the other photos might have been like in front of their house with some other telling things that they can know. But this, it's fake. It's everything about it's doctored. So that's my theory, at least.
They sometimes have to cut down like that 5 seconds of exposition. So maybe maybe there was just one sentence going, yeah, it's a bit corny, but it's the only photo
That I was allowed.
approved.
yeah, that was allowed. Yeah,
I guess they kind of already got away with that because they made her put all of her stuff in
Into
the clear sack.
bag.
and she's really weirded out by Miss Wong. You're like, who is that? Who is that kid?
Yeah,
Miss,
she drops
Miss
Seth's name.
Wong. Like, just
Is it weird if I keep asking why you're a child?
Yeah. Like, what's up
Are
with
you
her?
being held here?
She's weird. I do not think she's a Casey clone. It just seems too.
No, too
right.
convoluted.
I don't think she's even severed. Because the managers haven't been severed.
Yeah, she could just be a permanent
She's
innie.
someone's kid, I reckon. She's just.
Why?
Okay, who is that child? Miss Wong.
To touch back on Dylan's Audi thing, we do get small hints that maybe, we have this confidence block outside and he's,
He dumb?
for lack of a better word, a loser. Yeah. He's a fuck up.
So he's actually kind of a fuck up?
So sad though, just the wife having to be like, he's not. Like,
Yeah, she doesn't say anything to that. She makes a comment of, you forgot to do the cookies this week. It was our 1 week to do the cookies. So you've not only fucked up our responsibility, but the kids look bad. And so the other parent's going to think we look bad. So can you just, and she does it in the nicest way possible, can you do the cookies? He's like, yeah. And he's on this, reading a magazine, watching TV, ignoring his kids or whatever.
I mean, they're playing. I wouldn't call it ignoring.
The kids are watching the cartoon and playing. And that's the thing, as a parent, maybe he just needs his downtime, but he's finally clocking in to be a parent.
His downtime, like from his perspective, he drove and then he drove back.
I know, exactly. That's why I think it does feel a bit more pathetic.
But that does also mean he doesn't get any time to himself still.
Yeah, and he feels tired.
Yeah.
His body still has lived the
all
day.
he's done today is drive and then,
But even after he says she's still like, it's literally a pre-made thing of dough. You just have to slice it and put it in the oven. Again, she's saying it way nicer than I would have.
Oh,
well,
God,
he also
yeah.
knows that she's nice because remember last episode, she's consoling him after not getting the job and he's like, stop being nice.
Yeah.
She is just a nice person in general.
Yeah. Maybe too good for him.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
think? Question?
Poor Dylan.
Any Dylan for sure. Audi Dylan, get wrecked.
It's a great use of economic storytelling where it's like we need to give the audience information like we go, oh, okay, he's the night shift, she's the day shift for the kids. That makes sense. And then we see that weird cartoon, which you mentioned. There's like a weird
It also
little
looked
cartoon
very
they're
like,
watching.
hallways and rats. It was like cylinders and like rockets going in. So it was very maze-like still.
Well, we assume that Lumen's got their fingers in every pie in this world.
Yeah.
Like they're doing the cartoons.
Well, someone pointed out that Irving also lives in Lumen Housing because it's named after someone. So they all live in Lumen Housing except Rickon, who I do want to talk a little bit about. That's pretty much most of Dylan. He flirts with his wife-ish and she doesn't tell Outie Dylan about
exactly.
it.
And the fact that he mentions it, I don't know how quick it is, like the world of it, but he asks about that when she's leaving the door. You think that would be his first fucking question when he got home was, how was the meeting? And I know it's in the scene, we want to get this information across, but I took it as also maybe it says something about this character that it doesn't even occur to him to even that he is just that kind of beaten down. They doesn't even think to ask how the interesting thing was today until the very last moment, maybe.
I think he's meant to be that like representation of dads that immediately sort of fall into this depression and never like get out of it, and they just go, well, I'm still functioning, I'm just being a bad husband and a bad dad, but I'm just going to keep cycling into this further depression about it and not actually like getting out of it. That's what I feel like they're going to do with him, which will be sad and horrible, and I hope not.
Well, yeah, because they're probably going to bring the kids down to the Lumen and they're going to be like, Dad's way more fun when he's at work and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, if we do get more
Dad's
Outie
never
Dylan.
hugged us.
just crush Audi Dillon when he
Or
finds out.
called them a fucker or something, you know. But yeah. Okay, you mentioned, and it is true, it's Rickon being...
Maybe another Egan cousin.
Oh, what? You've jumped to that?
Why is he so rich?
He has beard.
Oh,
question mark.
we've said this. We said it's crazy. We go, he must be successful because he lives in such a good house.
And he's the only person that isn't in Lumen housing and isn't poor, basically, because Mark has like a duplex. So like Mark's house is attached to other people's
And he
houses.
moved in after Gemma died.
Yes, so I guess we don't know what that was before that.
I know, obviously, because Rickon's with a Lumen employee, but he says innie, doesn't he? He doesn't say worky, which like little things
when
like
he said Natalie, he says innie.
You know, it's a little like turn of like, oh, well, maybe it's a good thing if I'm getting a bit of money in the pocket, you know, like.
It doesn't seem like money for him though. It's because like obviously they're already rich. It really is just they want another version of my book.
Really astute or whatever. He goes, thanks. No, that is what I was going for. Like he was going for the air of genius. Oh, were you?
Yes, it might not be about money, and it probably feeds back into your theory of him being an Egan.
I guess also he has got a weird name.
The main thing that clocked me in episode 1 of this season, when the lady is leaving, she says, "Don't punish the baby, Rickon. It's not its fault." And then he says, "Goodbye, Rebecca."
Because her name is Rebecca.
Yeah, the Rebecca character. She's always changing her name.
That's what I'm saying. They remove one letter. James is James instead of James.
Yeah, there's a lot of
know,
that.
man.
Yeah.
I've noticed that a few times.
And Rickon's also just a weird name. I guess Devon isn't much less weird. Sorry if either of those are your names.
If you rewatch that scene of Natalie and Rickon with the guise of what if he's a distant cousin that wants some recognition and being pulled into like the main time Egan, you know, timeline,
with the family,
that would work. Because if it's not money motivation, if he's just like, I'm going to be recognized, I'm going to be a legacy for the innies, like I get to be my own Egan.
I do think his house is definitely a open secret. Like it's the thing that the audience sees all the time but doesn't think about. It's that clever thing. But something we've been thinking about is like it's the one nice house in this fucking
and
show.
like he can afford to make 3 different beds for his kid to transition.
Yeah,
when
we
wants,
bought that. Do you remember
they had
that?
a pregnancy cabin.
Oh yeah,
Pregnancy cabin.
The idea is that the kid can go to the bed when it's ready.
Oh, as in they're in the same
Yeah, so it's
room.
got a cot, a single bed, and like a double
it's got
bed.
a cot, and Mark has to sleep in the race car one.
Also, he's always uncomfortable taking his own child, where the Egans never, like, the Egans aren't parental.
Yeah, they're not.
They're
not nurturables.
nurturable.
And also the fact that he's ginger and Hallie's ginger.
And if you turn him
Sorry.
sideways, maybe he looks like an Egan.
Ginger equals evil? Question mark?
But I did like the...
No.
Well, surely is the thing that it's... Yeah, how did it get down there? And then Rick goes, we've moved past that.
Yes.
Like, the question of... I mean, surely it's an easy thing of going, oh, Miss Cobell, the crazy stalker threesome lady, she took it to work. Like, sure, it's right
She
there
stole
for
it off
you.
the porch and then gave it in.
It's right there. She literally did do that.
Or is it just them not wanting to spend time explaining that? So like,
No, I get
we'll
it,
use
but
Rickon.
yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, it could be either. It could be good storytelling or it could be more mysteries. I even said it's like everything in this show is like, that could be something. Like, no matter what they do, you're like,
I'm conscious of that. I'm conscious
Did you
of
notice that he rubbed his forefinger with his thumb?
When I was watching, I was like, oh, not much happened this episode. But because you get used to waiting for the big stuff, but then when you discuss it, you realise a lot did happen, but also
much deeper.
It's wonderfully told.
Yeah.
It's some of the best writing.
I think it's not like we've had 2 episodes of continual questions and still setting up not really satisfying answers yet. And I feel like this is the first time we get a bigger payoff of like, this is where we're going. He's reintegrating.
Yes, we get direction this episode and action.
It's so great that it's so early.
Yeah, they are still just giving us question after question, and I don't want it to become Lost or From, which is Lost again, basically, but in a small town. They've spent 3 seasons just piling on questions.
If
and we
this
have
was
zero
executively
response.
produced by J.J. Abrams, I would be shitting
You'd be like,
it. But
yes,
yeah.
you would be worried.
Yeah.
But this episode, they at least do give us this is what we're doing now.
Yeah. If we did have to wait for reintegration for the end of the season, then I think we'd be in for maybe a rough season 2 and 3. But the fact that it's happening now, I think we're in for a treat.
It gives us more hope seeing how quickly this has happened, especially because 7 episodes left.
And you took note of the 5 alpha, beta, all that stuff.
So in MDR, And I'm really trying to make these 5 folders make sense, because I'm like, why are they there? Why is there 5? Because you got 4 of the tempers, and you see that it's the 4 tempers when they sort into the 5 folders. So what does the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mean?
My assumption was just it's 5
Nothing.
batches. Like it's if you're grading homework, so you put them in 5 piles, so you can do 1 pile per day.
Yeah, and that could be it. I have no idea.
But also, that could be something.
My question is, are the brainwaves something to do with the folders? Because she mentions that there are 5 brainwaves: delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma, and we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 folders.
Yeah.
So it feels like maybe because this is all brain stuff and we're talking about Cold Harbor, we're talking about Gemma being dead, that surely maybe these 5 folders are to do with that. And it's
Yep. I mean, again, could be. We have no information apart from 5 and 5, and a little magpie brain's like,
the first time we see 5 somewhere else must be it.
Everything could be something, which is both good writing and a little annoying because we have to wait weekly. And there's only so much discussion that can happen per week.
And once again, I'm so happy, but also so fucked off. I saw a TikTok of this guy was going, for those people who've just are watching Severance and then you've just went straight into season 2, having a great old time. Like, I had to wait 3 fucking years for that, like, she's alive reveal.
I was in the trenches.
But I seem to think that the show is getting, it was already quite popular. Is there like a world streaming leaderboard somewhere where
it's called the Nielsen charts. Nielsen ratings come out every 4 weeks, I think. So next week at some point, we'll know how it goes against everything else that's out at the moment, and we'll know how many millions of minutes it's streamed.
I just hope whoever it is, these board members, if you will, don't go, turns out they don't want fantasy stuff anymore. They want weird sci-fi, Black Mirror, Twilight Zone stuff.
Right.
No, we just want good stories, well acted, well directed. It could be about anything. Like, I remember when we first started watching this, you were like, what's this? Oh, I like Adam Scott. Okay. Like, because it didn't seem immediately like your cup of tea straight away, maybe. But then it's like, you watch it, like,
yeah.
It sounds like the people who don't watch it sounds like the weirdest show ever to be into. It's these people who go to this weird workplace and they forget who they are when they go there.
It sounds like nothing.
It sounds like nothing.
Saying there's a big mystery behind it, like, I swear.
That's it. It sounds like a one-off Black Mirror episode.
Yeah.
Which is what the substance should have been.
Oh, God, the substance
A one-off short episode.
The only interesting thing I thought of, apart from what we talked about, Helena also goes by the Kia principles. Like, she tells Milchick to let Kia guide your hand. We did talk about, maybe we don't know whether the cultism gets out of the Severance floor, or like how much they praise Kia down on the Severance floor. They do that upstairs. Like, the higher ups do also obey Kia like God.
It's a very Russian, like, people have brought it out.
The giant face.
Yeah, it's very like, you feel like you see it in like communist Russia, that type of stuff. Yeah.
She does also keep the verbiage up with Cobell as well. She's like, I'm seeing ego, I'm seeing...
It's stuff that a manipulative cult leader would say to people who are trying to be individualistic.
Yeah.
Best comment from last episode is the only one that answered the door question. And that's that they were a sculpted mahogany to match their chiseled personality. And that you probably do, my friend. We need to do a subscribe. We need to push it. We need to say it.
Oh, you mean like that awkward moment when Dylan's wife whispers in his ear, subscribe to Bergenbeard.